The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Friday, the 1st of November. We did it. We got through October. We got through Halloween, all that good stuff. And now we sit on a Fargodome Friday, Corey. This is always a day, and I've said this before, and I'll stake on this claim, that for a lot of schools around here, making the Fargodome might as well be making the state tournament. If you've gotten to this point, your season is a success by any metric. That Fargodome day is always really fun, even when my football team's never made it, but we always would skip school that day and go watch games at the Fargodome, and it was awesome. It's always a day everybody has circled on their calendars. To get to play in it is even cooler and just really awesome for the communities and the teams and the players, coaches involved. And we got some good ones today. But I mean, you got making a Fargodome for a lot. If you ask teams, Corey, preseason, all right, what do you think you guys can do this year? Nobody says, we think we can make state. We think we can get to the Fargodome. We think we can get to the That is always the bearing metric for success. I don't know how to explain it, but if ever anybody tells you we made it to the Fargodome, instant wow, nice season, or wow, big ambitions.
Is that not weird? That's a little. I mean, you're right. You're 100% correct. I've always found that as someone who's didn't grow up around here, and section championship games didn't get to be played at that sort of cool venue. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was still a neat venue, right? But that sort of venue, everyone's real strong affiliation to NDSU. If there is a team to this region, it is 100% that NDSU football team. There's I think people feel stronger about them than they do certainly the Gophers, certainly probably even more than the Vikings in a lot of situations. I know a lot of people have gone to school there or whatever, but that is I've always fascinated by that is the metric of we got to play there.
Right.
We got to play there, which implies you're happy with losing the section championship game. I've always been fascinated by that. The metric isn't playing in a state quarterfinal game.
Well, and I think a lot of it is because of just the venue, right? I mean, it's a dome. You get to play indoors. For kids that are 15, 16 years old, they're rarely are they going to get an opportunity to play on a venue like that. And if they win the state tournament, they go to, and this is Alexandria and Brainerd are great facilities, great stadiums, but okay, cool. You get to play in the Fargodome. Next week, you're going to just go play in Alexandria.
Yeah, the venue is unreal. It's as good as a high school experience could get.
US Bank Stadium is obviously the cherry on top. And before it was the Metrodome. But also it got loud in there, but also the stadiums were too big for high school events, especially for our areas. You just can't bring enough people there to get juice. In the Fargodome, you can, though. All you got to do is bring a couple hundred people from your town and
bring your whole town, and it's going to get loud enough.
Right. And for, Parkers Prairie, it's a little bit easier drive to go to Fargo than it is to go down to the Twin Cities. You just pack the stadium a little more. It's a little cheaper to get into, I guess. Although technically not, because the prices are the same. But
I should probably. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm not saying it's not. It's obviously a huge deal.
No.
Getting right to play to go to a state tournament is a big deal, and then you tack on the NDSU Fargodome experience. It's obviously amazing, but it's
somebody though, Corey, who didn't grow. I didn't grow up with any NDSU affiliation, any whatever. I married into it, but the Fargodome still was cool because it's a dome and because it felt like you kind of made it a little bit. So you're right. NDSU affiliation has a lot to do with it, but it's not everything though. I think it's just the fact that it's a dome stadium.
But what's interesting is that it's a section championship. And if you go to section 1, they play their games in Rochester.
Right.
The college there. No one's goal in section 1 is to be I want to lose the section championship game.
Let me put it even in local, Verndale, Sabika, Bertha Hewitt, they all kind of shifted over into that section 5 or section 4. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they've gone from playing the Fargodome now to the section title games at Brainerd, and Nevis is playing there. But I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a nice facility in Brainerd. They do a great job. That's not to take anything away from that, but it's obviously not the Fargodome, and it loses a little muster for teams around here to be like, oh, cool, we're playing our section title game. Brainerd. And theoretically, you'd be able to bring more people there.
Yeah,
not just in Brainerd, but also there's a bit of like a big, it kind of puts it up on a stage.
I don't think that's how people think. I think people want to play in the section championship
game. They do, but I'm saying from the outside looking.
In the other instance, if you're going to lose in a section championship game, it's cool. Like, I'd rather go lose in the Fargodome where it's warm.
That also has something to do with it too. But it's just getting to say we played at the Dome. Like, you get to, I don't know, it's stupid, but it's like in how I process it.
You're 100% right. It's just, the way it's always worded, and you worded it how everyone always words it, where there's this weird, like, I'm okay with losing a section championship.
We just want to get to the Dome. There's
kind of how we just want to get there. That's it.
Season ends, you lose 56-6 to a team that's much better than you, and you go, hey, we got to the Dome this year, and we're pretty darn proud of it.
And in 20 years, you're gonna like it. An edge will be off. You like, we played in the section championship game, and you'll get to tell people that if this and this would have happened, we probably would have played in the state tournament. Whatever, I get it. I'm just always fascinated by how you worded it, because that's how everyone always words it. And I'd be like, I don't want to.
By the way, I agree with the calculus in this area. Or like, I get it, because I was once in high school and I had those same like I felt that
the goal.
Getting the Fargodome was if you got to the Fargodome, that was cool. Like, you could just throw anything else out the door.
Totally cool. It's totally cool. I'm fascinated by that.
It's fascinating. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like
no one else in any other section is like, I just want to make the section championship.
I just want to get to Brainerd this year. I just want to play on that field in Brainerd. That's all I want to do.
Right. So, but that's the difference. That's where it is. It's about the venue. Because no one else is like, I want to just, if we make a section championship, I guess that'll be fine.
Yeah.
No one else like it's very strange. It's very strange.
It is what it is. It's
teams from the area who are playing in the Dome.
By the way, much prefer to call a game in the Dome than an outdoor stadium, because even though those press boxes are heated and they take care of you,
right.
It's just cooler to be in the Dome. And I can get out of work a little bit longer for the day. So that also helps me, just as an aside for a broadcaster. The Fargodome view is great because you're way up there and you can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
I remember New York Mills was playing Breckenridge in a section final game in 2021, I believe. And all I remember was Mills was at about midfield, the Bison logo. They drop back, hard play action. They send a guy just streaking down the middle of the field. And before the guy's even open, I can see he's running open. So I can say he's looking like, you can kind of get people like, he's going deep, and this isn't just throwing he's got a guy open. He's throwing it. And you can just as the ball is in the air, you just have this great view of going, he's lobbing it up, and and you can say he's lobbing it up. The receiver has a step. They have it. And then he catches it. And it's just, I always remember that as that was kind of my first play where I was like, a high school field, I could have did that call and I could have did it really well, but being at the Fargodome and the vantage it gave really let me get that call as good as I could have gotten it.
The only thing that's hard, I think, about going there is it's the slowest elevator on planet Earth to get up there, and the chain gang does not mess around. If you are not paying attention, they're gone.
So
if you're trying to remember what yard line it was on, or
how do your stats.
The down markers just fly. So keeping up with some of that is difficult. What's the first game on tap?
First game on tap. Here we go. 12:10 pregame, 12:30 kickoff. Parkers Prairie, West Central area. Parkers Prairie, the 3 seed. West Central area, the 1. If you look at the Knights on the season, they are 8-2. They're 2-0 in section play. Only played 2 section games. One of them was in the regular season. Both of them, were playoffs. They played no section games this entire regular season. So it's hard to tell kind of where they stack up against things, but they beat Pine River Bacchus 40-8. They beat New York Mills 42-18. And now they play the Parkers Prairie Panthers. Some wins on the season. They did beat Browerville Eagle Valley 24-0. They did lose to teams like Belgrade, Bruton, Rosa, and Upsala Swanville area 32-0 to the Jaguars, 37-14 to the Patriots. By the way, both those two teams will also be playing at the Dome in the 4A game, which should be a I mean, they always play each other in that game, and it's always excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent game between those two teams. But for Parkers Prairie, they're 7-3 on the year. They got their 2 playoff wins over Brandon, Evansville, Ashby, and Breckenridge. And now they play West Central area. Parkers Prairie, the scoreboard doesn't show it because, I mean, there was a couple big plays by the Cowboys, which do matter. But Parkers Prairie played a dominant game against Breckenridge. And from the moment kickoff happened to the end of the game, there was just no thought that they were going to lose that football game. They came into the game with that attitude, but then they showed it on the field. They were able to get big runs from Basil. Joe Johnson at fullback was able to get runs up the middle, which was huge because then they could play off that by going to the sides. Their passing game was really good. We talked a lot of that on Monday's episode, so you can go back and hear the full breakdown of the game before. But I think being in the dome is going to help them as well to do the passes that they want to get off. I think Basil obviously is a great running back for Parkers Prairie. When you're breaking Yankee records, you know you're doing something right in that football program. And I don't know. I got a feeling that Parkers Prairie is going to be going to a state tournament again in back-to-back years. Their last time they made the state tournament before 2023, Corey, was in 2003. I don't think it's going to be a 20-year gap before they get back there. I think they do get back there with a win this afternoon against the Knights. I'm gonna go with it.
And okay, so that's the 12:30 game.
12:30. Yeah, that's the kickoff. 12:10 pregame on the Superstation, K106, 105.9 FM, streaming online at WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 mobile app, or you can follow updates again on Sports Cow, and that's got all the information you need on how to get stuff going for kickoff.
So the second game of the day we're going to have is actually going to be simulcast on both KNSP, The Fan, that's AM 1430 and 98.5 FM, and on the Superstation K106, as top-seeded Staples-Motley Cardinals take on the Osakis Silver Streaks in the 6AA championship from the Fargodome. Staples-Motley, the 1 seed, they're undefeated, 9-0, ranked 10th in Class 2A. Osakis, the 3 seed, 4-5 overall. Here's the general gist of this season. Everything for Staples-Motley has come up roses. They're a very good football team, and they have beat everybody that was put in front of them. Osakis started the season off. The story goes losing like 800 pounds of offensive linemen before the season really even started.
A week before the first game.
And they play a very tough schedule during the year. So as the season has gone along, they had to get their feet wet and kind of re-identify who they were as a football team and their personality. There was just a lot that needed to change, and they played a tough schedule during the year. When Zeke and I went to Staples for the Cardinals Pillager game about the midway point of the season, CJ, we ran into activities director Josh Lee, who said, no one wants to see Osakis as a 3 seed. No, because the schedule that they play is just brutal. And they are coming into this game going to be the more battle tested ball club. Osakis 4-5 on the year, but those 5 losses were the first 5 games of the season, and now they've rattled off 4 wins straight. So lost to Kimball area, Eden Valley Watkins, St. Cloud Cathedral, and Holdingford. By the way, Kimball area and Eden Valley Watkins ranked 5th and 7th in Class 2A football. But then victories over Painesville area, Royalton, Maple Lake, and Pillager in their last 4 in a row. For Staples-Motley, 9-0 on the year. Frazee, Breckenridge, Walker, Hackensack, Akeley, Pillager, Pine River Bacchus, Parkers Prairie, New York Mills, Wadena, Deer Creek, and Monaga. That Wadena Deer Creek game, of course, a forfeit. The Cardinals haven't been tested very often this year. Pillager would have been the game. Then they handled their business in that one big test at the midway point of the season. They haven't really played a tough, right? They played a pretty easy opponent for them in the first round with that victory over Monaga. They had a forfeit the week before. This is going to be a punch in the mouth that they haven't experienced yet this year. And it is, of course, a rematch from last year's section championship, right? And the Silver Streaks came away. I am just so looking forward to seeing what the Cardinals bring to the table here. I do think that they're ready. I do think they're ready for this matchup and for this battle. And you think they'll be healthy coming into it. This is the 3:00 kickoff with a I guess like a 2:40 scheduled pregame. Again, it's going to be simulcast on AM 1430, 98.5 FM, The Fan, along with the Superstation K106, 105.9 FM, WadenaRadio.com, Superstation K106 app. You know all the details. A double header of football from the Fargodome. Good stuff.
Good stuff. It's going to be fun. Again, Sports Cow on Facebook will help you get to where you need to go as well.
Moo.
All right, let's talk about some football here for other teams, I should say. Let's first talk about the Minnesota Vikings. They have Sunday Night Football. We talked about Cam Robinson joining the team. TJ Hawkinson looks like he's coming back. Blake Cashman looks like he's coming back. Dalton Reisner looks like he's coming back.
Cashman out of practice, though.
Out of practice? Okay.
Most recently, at the last update anyway that I saw, out of practice again.
That's true. And the Friday practice will be the telling one. If he doesn't practice in that one, then we got right to be concerned. But it looks like he's trending towards at least coming back this week or the next week.
Right.
And
he's important. That'll be huge.
Cam Robinson, I think Kevin O'Connell hinted on Wednesday that there was a chance he could mix in at left tackle a little bit. If not, they're rolling with Quessenberry at swing tackle, playing the left side on Sunday night. They play a Colts team that's starting Joe Flacco instead of Anthony Richardson. So that's going to be tougher. Brian Flores' defenses, when there's a veteran quarterback who's read kind of some of the stuff before or knows kind of what checks to make halfway through a game, has given them some issues. We'll see. It's at home. The US Bank Stadium crowd will be rocking. I just think overall, I think the Vikings do get back on track. I think TJ Hawkinson coming back is so huge for this offense because it gives them somebody. We talk about all the time, Sam Darnold is pushing the ball, and that's great when it works. But when it doesn't, they find themselves coming off the field too early. TJ Hawkinson, I think, gives them that safety blanket underneath, and I think we'll start to see that kind of come to fruition as well. I think the Vikings get it done. I think they get a win. That's kind of my take. I think the Colts are a good team all around, but I don't think they're spectacular. And I think the Vikings being at home under the lights, Sunday Night Football, I think they get the win.
Yeah, if Richardson plays for Indianapolis, I know he doesn't. I'm saying if he would have been the guy, the Vikings embarrass probably the Colts because Richardson's going to do 6 dumb things in that game. To your point, like you said, Flacco is nothing's going to surprise him. He's gonna be able to call all the right protections. He's whatever. But one of the things about Joe Flacco's career and the MO in his career is that he is like the originator of chuck it down the field and hope you get a pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are the originator of chucking the ball 40 yards down the field, that means you have to hold the ball just a little bit longer.
Right.
So it's just some of this is gonna depend on play calling. I think the pressure is going to return for the Vikings. A nice little break for them, an important break from going from a Thursday to a Sunday. I think that's going to be huge. And yeah, I think the Vikings, I think Indianapolis is a nice team, but I think the Vikings are a good team, and it's at US Bank Stadium. It's going to be Sunday night. Those people are going to be drunk and loud. And the Vikings are a better football team. There's outside the obvious, they turn the ball over, blah, 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 that sort of thing. There's no reason the Vikings shouldn't win this.
Yeah, Vikings should win this one. Pretty cut and dry. Well, If they lose, we'll talk about it on Monday. We'll get the follow-up.
It might not be impressive. It might not be, you know what I'm saying? It might be a battle because he's got magic for a season and a half now of just what's going on here with Joe Flacco. But,
this is also, by the way, the start of a portion of the Vikings schedule. They can really stack some wins on top of each other.
Yep.
Because they play Indianapolis this week. They go to Jacksonville next week. They go to Tennessee the week after. They go to Chicago, which is never easy, and the Bears are proven to be competent. But that's one again. And then you have Arizona at home, which again, competent but not overpowering. Atlanta The Vikings are better than Atlanta. But again, they're competent. Chicago at home.
Also, Kirk, like that's just going to be a big. Right. It's going to be a big one.
Then you have at Seattle, and then you have Green Bay, Detroit. But I think there's not a game where I'm concerned of like the Vikings are toast until they play Green Bay a second time and go on the road to Detroit. That's when I'm like, okay, those are like real. Like I'm not confident. But if you polled me right now, I'd say the Vikings should be the favored team, just because I'm a homer, but also because of the situation. They should be favored, or at least pretty close to every team they're going to play up until January. Dang near.
Yeah, I think that's probably right, considering the location of some of those games. You know, we'll know more about Chicago come Thanksgiving time, come the 24th of November. But like that game in Chicago probably makes the Bears, a 0.5 point favorite or something like that.
The Vikings always play poorly in Soldier Field. It's just
weird. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy, probably even, or it's just going to be a goofy one. But yeah, the Vikings are going to be they're good. They're a nice football team. The Vikings are a nice football team.
Yeah, they should win. Let's talk about the Gophers, who have all of a sudden become a nice football team. And I think they were always talented. It's frustrating because if you take away the missed kick at the end of the North Carolina game, they're probably ranked, don't you think? Because their only 2 losses would be to Michigan in the Big House, which doesn't look that impressive anymore that you barely lost to them. But then you got flattened by Iowa, which also isn't good. But they're only a 2-loss team. I think if they beat North Carolina, I think they're probably ranked. Or at least close. They'd be receiving votes.
Others receiving votes category.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That win over Maryland was impressive. The way that they were able to just steamroll them.
Mm-hmm.
And their they got the win over USC. Going on the road to UCLA didn't look impressive, but that was anytime you ask a Big Ten team to go to the West Coast is going to be.
How about this? Here's the question. They're playing at Illinois, who is ranked 24th.
Uh-huh.
Do we think that the Gophers and Illinois are equivalent football teams?
I mean, I haven't seen enough of Illinois to have hard opinion, but I'm not scared of this Illinois team.
Are you scared of Brett Bielima?
Yes, 100%. The Gophers have never beat Brett Bielima. And for the life of me, please beat him, and please beat him by 50 points and run up the score every single time. That guy sucks.
So the Gophers might be as good as Illinois.
Yeah.
They're probably not as good as Brett Bielima.
No, and it's on the road. So that's also
right. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting. I don't. You're probably right. I guess you're probably right to say. I don't know.
Because they have. I mean, at the time, if they would have beat North Carolina, they would have been undefeated in non-conference play. So then they would have had a loss to Michigan. That would have been bad. But then they would have had a win over USC. Would have been ranked at the time, and they certainly would have been ranked after that win.
Okay, how about this? Let me re-ask the question. So let's just say the Gophers are currently, like, they don't extend the rankings out past 25th.
Yeah.
But let's say they're ranked. You think they're like maybe the 29th ranked team?
Sure, that's fair.
30th even. Okay, so let's just flip them. Let's say the Gophers are now 24th and Illinois is 30th, and this game is still in Illinois. Are you picking the Gophers?
Probably not, because Brett Bielema.
Yeah, you're just not, right? Like, I don't think the Gophers are going to win this weekend.
No.
If they do, I'm ready to have a conversation.
Yeah.
What they've done for the last 3 weeks or whatever the number is, right? Are they going for 4 in a row?
In a row, yeah.
So what they've done over the last 4 weeks, because I guess they had a bye in there, has been impressive. It's been really good.
Since like the third quarter of the Michigan game, they've just flipped a switch. Like offensively, they've like you can feel it's fun now that the Gophers. Not that Brosmer is like slinging it around the field or is this generational quarterback prospect, but it's just nice to see a competent quarterback of this Gopher offense, because all of a sudden, with a good run game and a competent passing game, that offense looks nice.
And don't you feel I'm just old? What's the receiver's name? Jackson?
Yeah. Daniel Jackson.
Don't you think he's going to score every time he touches it?
Mm-hmm.
Every single time. That dude is dynamic.
Right.
He's really, really fun to watch. Now, I don't know if he's an idiot or if he's smart. I don't know, like some of these things. But in the Big Ten anyway, if he can get his hands on the ball and has just a little, if it's like, oh, there's a little wiggle room there, he's going to wiggle through it.
Mm-hmm.
Fun, man.
It's fun. Let's wrap up our conversation here, Corey. And let's first of all, before we get out of here for the weekend, mention cross country. has the state meet. So best of luck to all the runners down there. I know on Sports Cow, there's some shout out posts for the cross country runners. So you can go check that out there as we have kind of our good luck post to all the people running here as I'm trying to find a way to pull up some of the local teams that are running around here for New York Mills and for Otter Tail Central, Sauk Center, Pelican Rapids, Wadena, Deer Creek, UNC, Parkers,
everyone.
Osakis, Bertha Hewitt. I mean, Staples-Motley team. I mean, everybody's running this thing like the state wrestling tournament, Corey. There's always somebody local running somewhere. So best of luck to all those runners.
Best of luck. On Monday, we'll make sure we give you some luck with some final placements and things like that. Podiums and medalists and whatever.
It's a cool race down there at the University of Minnesota. It's on the golf course. You have to park at the fairgrounds and then they shuttle you to the course because there's no on-site parking there.
I've been to state cross country. Did you ever go to St. Olaf? Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I went to there a couple of years ago and it was rainy, so it wasn't the best.
But what's the difference? One is, I mean, St. Olaf, I would assume it's kind of, you're running through some hills a little bit, and this is on the golf course.
And the Gophers one, at least for a viewing perspective, is a little more spread out. So
this course has to be faster than St. Olaf.
It's faster than St. Olaf's, and it's hard because it was raining that day we were there, and last year was a little better running conditions.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say definitively.
Early November, of course, it's raining.
Last year was sunny. It was chillier, but it was sunny.
90 degrees when the season starts, and then you get to the state meet, and it's like 42 degrees with rain.
Talking with Coach Brunsberg for Wolverines Weekly and Wadena Deer Creek all season long, they want the 40-degree weather. So
I know it's just funny, this difference from it's not the beginning of the season was not that long ago.
Beginning of the season, it's 85 degrees with 90% humidity.
Yeah.
And now it's 40 degrees and it's drier than whatever. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Best of luck to everyone involved. That'll do it for us. Morning Sports Desk. Catch you guys later.
The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.